I know when people think of Spearhead Trails, it's what we're known as. It's really Southwest Regional Recreation Authority. We're so much more than just trails. It's not just the ATV side. I guess you can look out here and show you the axe room, rock climbing's here, and we're adding more activities in the back. We'll show you that section in just a second. Joe Levis, I'm going to let him come over. Joe his new title is Field Operations Supervisor, but he's the Sportsman Complex Manager. I'm sure you all heard about our Sportsman Complex. So I'm going to let him tell a little bit about that. I want to introduce our staff. Joe, you want to come over?
The Sportsman's Complex is approximately 80 acres developed right now. We have a 300-yard rifle range. We have sporting clays. We have ski range. We have pistol range. We're in all aspects of archery. We're actually holding the IBO World Qualifier this year, which is a big hit. We're adding trap, IDPA, pistol cores. We're just still expanding all that, but yeah, it's been a big hit so far.
So if you've not checked that out, that's in Dickinson County. It's what, 15, 20 minutes from here on 72 on Snowball Hall. So that has been, we're having a grand opening probably in April. I think we're going to have Travis Hackworth is going to come down for that. The governor's coming to ride hopefully in April. So we've got a lot going on with that. And we want to have a big grand opening. Joe had the idea of, and you all could help us build on this, that maybe we could have a competition among like the rescue, fire departments, police departments, a competition that day over there amongst all of the 7 counties in the city of Norton that we represent. We think that would be a good idea. If you all got any other ideas, we're open. We've not started on the gun events yet. Archery is in full swing over there with that. And there's an indoor range, forgot about that we have tournaments. There's practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays for archery, and then there's tournaments every Saturday night. And we have people traveling Tennessee, Kentucky, everywhere for that, West Virginia. So that's been a big gift. I should say him for last, because everybody already knows him anyway. Jack Mack is the Assistant Director and our Public Relations person, so I'm going to let him tell you a little bit what he's doing.
Background, better part of the 14 years I've been chairman. Recently, I'm now working with, as an assistant director, to Melissa, and I must tell you this, having been on the board of directors for our different tribe and seeing what goes on a daily basis, I am so gratified to see how far this place has come since '07. And to be in here, this group is like a family. They're moving it forward. It's unbelievable how much people are now coming to this organization. Primarily, they call her Melissa. She doesn't get the, I know she's got cauliflower ear from the phones all the time. And they're wanting everything in the world. Spearhead has arrived to the point that people throughout the region are wanting to be part of it in so many different manners. I'm just thrilled that it's come thus far so quickly. Thank you all.
And James, I want James to come up here now. James, my admin supervisor, couldn't pull the office side together. It's kind of like we've got a blank slate and we're starting all over. I'm proud of where we're going, and Jack is right. This is a family, and I'll let James tell you a little bit about himself.
I'm James. I've been here for almost a year, and like Jack Mack said, this is my family right here. Everybody here, we pull together, and we really believe in what we're doing here for the counties. And yeah, I'm glad to be part of the family.
And then I've got Anthony and Bobby, and they'll come up here. Bobby's really new. Bobby started this week with us, but he's already took off and has constructed the whole back room back there. So he's really hit the floor running. Anthony's been here for a year and a half. They are the trail managers. So Anthony, we do 4 on 4 off. I don't know if you all have realized that now, but we work 7 days a week on our trail team. We've had some issues in the past trying to get our standards up. DEQ, we have a great relationship with DEQ. Nature Conservancy, Pocahontas Land Group, we're having weekly, bi-weekly calls with everybody. Anthony can attest to 3,000 bales of straw that we put on the trails since October. So we've really come a long way on the trail side. Bobby started Monday, so he's hit the ground running, but Bobby comes with the good factory. And I know Bobby's going to bring something great to the table. I'm proud of both of them. We have Dustin, who started Monday. Dustin is our Tazewell County Ranger. And I don't know if you all have noticed or not, but we have several jobs that we're hiring for. So if you all know anybody, any equipment operators that you can send our way, we really need them because we're trying to work around the clock. Dustin is going to be that job on trail in Tazewell. The other two that put up with James back here and hold him, keep him straight, is Sarah and Laura. If y'all want to come up here. How long have y'all been here? Sarah's? So you can tell we're all fairly new. I've been here going on 3 years in July. Joe is the oldest one. All around. So, but Joe he brings so much knowledge and everything to the table, and it takes all of us. But we've got a lot of projects that we're working on in Wise County. The neighborhood services, we actually have a call today, the Sugarfield Trail in Castlewood. That's something we're going to try to work on over there to finalize that. Of course, you know, Mountain View Trail is a huge success from St. Paul to here. We're going to work with U.S. Forest Services or USDA, or still say U.S. Forest Services. I don't know if you all realize or not, but we maintain a lot of their facilities that if we didn't maintain, they would not be open. Cave Springs, Keoki Lake, we work with Bark Camp Lake. We're taking on some facilities in Pound. We help with Oxbow, St. Paul, we've done that. I think this year will be the first time St. Paul has actually taken that back, but I talked to Andrea last night, we're still going to help with that. So there's just a lot that we have going on, and we've been a small group. We've got maybe 4 or 5 more, 3, 4 more here that you don't see. So, I mean, small group doing big things. I'm proud of this team. I can't say enough about what everybody puts into it. What you're seeing is what's making this work here. That's my school. Have you all got any questions for us?
We have a great boss.
Oh, could you tell them about maybe having some local items in here for
Yes, just don't forget about this place. We're talking about everything outside there. You look around, you see a 22,000 square foot facility. What we're doing here, this is our shops here. We're going to do recreation back here. We have archery tags so far and hoverball that we bought from back here. We want to use this as an indoor place. If it's raining, people can come here. If they can't go to the trails, can't go somewhere else. The actual one you are going to get to use today. I apologize, it is leaking a little bit. We've got to get our roof repaired, and we've not had good weather to get up there and seal it. So we're keeping it mopped, and the guys are going to work on that all day to keep that going. But here, this is the store, and you guys know we wouldn't be here without the counties that we serve. So this is a tribute to the 7 counties. So when you come in here, each county is going to have an aisle, and we ask for local businesses. If we want to show support for the local businesses, local artisans, we can do consignment, whatever we need to do to show support in this area for each county. We've talked about murals all around the wall of something for each county, each town within each county. This is your all's facility, and this is the community. It's not just us. So anything you all can think of that you can bring to the table for here, let us know. We've been having the 4-H meet here. We were excited when Katie contacted us about this. This was a good event. 4-H uses the indoor archery in Clintwood. So we're working with local people, the rock climbing wall, the rock climbing coalition. If any of you all are brave enough to want to do rock climbing, they're going to start doing classes here. Once we get everything open, they're going to like doing the beginner belay classes. That way, because they've already started mapping out different routes in this area, and they're doing books about those. So they want to start doing the classes here to get the interest started in the area as another asset of rock climbing. So, like I said, it's a community thing, and anything you all want to add, we're open to it. Did you have a question too?
Yeah, it's similar, but are you set up already so it's like a visitor center where people can come anytime? I could tell somebody in Charlottesville to come in and visit you all, and they can throw axes or whatever.
Well, we're not officially open yet.
Okay.
We're like, I think we need, we got to get our kitchen finished, and we got all that should be here today. And we have an extraordinary carpenter on staff now. Bobby's already built the back, so the kitchen shouldn't take him half day.
No question.
No
From the person
expectation
who
of
came up
anybody. And then, of course, we'll have to get the building inspector back, but after that, we're gonna have a grand opening. We've
Oh.
talked with Katie about that. We'll have that grand opening, and that's what we want to be as the heart of the counties we serve. So we want to have a big grand opening, we've talked about live music, and in correlation, we thought maybe with one of the local events where a lot of people will be here. You all help us. Whatever works, we work with the communities that we're in.
Well, so you want to do a quick tour?
Yeah, I think we
That way-
should, that way you can just see
That way we
everything.
can
And
get that out of the way.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions?
Have you thought about doing something like a children's birthday party type of activity where they could take a trail ride, maybe go back and do the axle throwing and, you know, a lot of children with the wellness, obesity being a problem in their area, a lot of children are not able to get out and access things like that. Have you thought about doing those kind of things?
We have, I'll tell you who we're partnering with Valid Health. Valid Health gave us a grant to build a playground. The range has to be, the sportsman complex has to be certified for NFAA. I thought banking was bad, Kathy. There's more acronyms in this world than I've ever had. NFAA tournaments, you have to have a playground to be certified. So they gave us a grant for that. So what we want to do is hopefully get a grant to build more rooms on this back here too, that can open up. I don't know if you all have you been to the rec center in Whitesburg? We want to build something similar to that where they can use this outdoor activities to tie in for birthday parties and events. And we're building these shelters out here for that too. And packages like that, like I said, anything you all can think of, we're open to ideas.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. I think we know most of you, but for those of you that we don't, my name is Brian Phelan, and I serve as the Industrial Development Supervisor and also the Interim Executive Director for the Wise County Industrial Development Authority. My friend and colleague, Natalie Chapman, is our Economic Development Supervisor for the county, and we're going to be your entertainment for the next 30 minutes or so. Buckle up. This is going to be exciting. So we're, to start off with, we're going to be using a pretty fancy technology. I'm not sure if you all have heard about it or not. It's called PowerPoint. Pretty fascinating if you've not had a chance to use it or anything. But we appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the invitation from Rick and Katie and the chamber to be here this morning to give you all a little bit of update on some of the things that we've been working on in our office, our offices, I guess we should say. Natalie and I, we have a fairly small staff at the county, and so Natalie and I, Mr. Hatfield, he had to step out for a doctor's appointment this morning, but we all wear a lot of different hats, and that's okay, because all those hats kind of feed into the same main goal, and those are some of the things we're going to talk to you about this morning. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the economic and industrial development side of our office. One of the big things we want to talk about this morning is that we just recently finished up a new strategic plan for our Office of Economic and Industrial Development. There's always been a lot of great work done in economic and industrial development in Wise County, and we're not discounting the work that's already been done. But our team saw a unique opportunity to kind of streamline some of our processes, to kind of put things into a neat package to where folks like this group can see the work that we're doing, because that's some of the feedback that we've gotten over the years is of all the great things that have been going on in Wise County, the general public typically doesn't know about those things, and we wanted to change that. We want the public to know what our office is doing. Of course, there's going to be a lot of information that's confidential and proprietary as far as prospects and development things go, and we're not going to be able to share that, but we did want to let you all know. So we just recently completed a brand new strategic plan, and this is really the first time in a long time that the county has had an official strategic plan for economic and industrial development. This plan was approved by the Planning Commission. Mr. Houchins, I know, sits on that board, and this was approved by the Planning Commission in February, at their February meeting, and so this will go to the full Board of Supervisors the middle of March at their March board meeting for their final approval. We feel confident, and the board has already seen some of this, so we wanted to kind of speak to what this strategic plan is going to consist of. We developed a vision statement, and I know this may be hard for you to read, so I'll just kind of read it out loud for you. The vision statement of the Office of Economic and Industrial Development is to lead Wise County's economic transition into that of a diversified and resilient economy through the strategic cultivation of and investment in priority industries attraction and support of new and expanding companies, and initiatives and resources to strengthen and grow the local workforce. That's a whole lot of words that kind of says what our office does. And I know a lot of you folks have been involved in economic development projects in the past. I know, I catch Don and Dick and Dan in my eyesight, so I'm going to refer to them. I know these three gentlemen have been involved in a lot of projects over the years, and they understand that this in a nutshell is what economic development really is. Okay? Our mission statement is to increase opportunity and quality of life for Rice County citizens by assisting in the development, retention, and expansion efforts of businesses large and small. I want to stop right there for just a minute. About 80% of economic development is retaining and expanding your current businesses. And that's going to be a primary focus of ours moving forward. We're going to be implementing a new BRE program, which stands for Business Retention and Expansion. So we're going to be, again, these things have always been done, but there's never been a true process for doing those. And there's never really been the appropriate types of data collected and the right types of conversations. So we're going to be hitting the ground running. Once this plan is approved, we're going to be hitting the ground running. And if you have a local business, chances are you're going to be hearing from us, and we want to come out and visit. We want to hear from you, and we want to let business owners know, large and small. So we want the Crutchfields of Wise County, as much as the local coffee shop, to know that our office is here to help, and we're here to connect you with the resources that you're going to need to not only be successful, but to hopefully grow right here in Wise County. So some of the things that we really focused on with this strategic plan, and a lot of words here, and I'm not going to read all these, just going to kind of hit the highlights for you. First thing we did was identify our stakeholders. Who can tell me who our stakeholders, if you want to read them, that's okay, but who can give me a one-word answer for who our stakeholders for economic and industrial development are here in Wise County? Everyone. Everybody. This list, I'm going to pick on her. Natalie was putting these slides together, and she said, Brian, you've got to look at this slide. And it was one of those PowerPoint slides that when you look at it, you think, oh my gosh, that's, your eyes go cross, and you kind of have to blink a little bit. So we could have 10 slides with who our stakeholders are in economic development, but truly, everyone are our stakeholders. One of our main goals of this strategic plan was to identify our target industries. Okay, so I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about those. Light and advanced manufacturing, agriculture, food and beverage manufacturing, information technology, distribution and logistics, energy production and storage, and data centers. That's what was identified through our strategic planning process, and talking with stakeholders and being involved with some chamber conversations, from working with our regional, working with VCTA, who's our regional economic development agency, working with the state economic development partnerships. These are the 6 target industries that we're going to focus on here in Rice County. Some of the things we're going to look to do with these target industries is we're going to look to do some targeted advertising, some targeted promotions, and some targeted recruiting based on these industries. One example that I'll give you on the table in front of you is a red card that looks a lot like this. These are hot off the presses. You are literally the first people to see these. This is just a little marketing piece that we put together. We worked with a graphic designer to have these designed. Natalie and I are going to be attending a data center trade show the end of March, and we're going to have a stack of these in our hand. And everyone that we have an opportunity to talk to about Wise County and about the benefits of operating a data center here in Wise County, we're going to be able to put one of these in their hands. So we're really excited about these. And these are things that have never been done, and they're kind of a new direction that we're taking. So we're really happy with the way these turned out. On the front side of that is just kind of a general advertisement that we're going to use for some advertising dollars that we have available to us. On the back side of that really talks about some of the data center specific benefits that Wise County brings. If you're curious, you can scan that QR code, and that's going to take you to a link on our new website that's going to show you all the benefits of data center recruiting here in Wise County. So we are planning on having this type of material done for all of these industries. We've just not gotten to that point yet. We started with the data centers because we got an opportunity to attend the trade show in March, and so we wanted to tackle that one first.
And for those of you, take a look at the back of your card. Those of you that haven't been up to our tech park before, aren't familiar, we do have a data center in Wise County. BP Facilities, what's the Mineral Gap Data Center. So that actually already is here. That gives us good precedent to attract another data center. So going up to our tech park, if you've not seen it before, it's really incredible operation.
just don't get out and walk around.
Don't get too close.
Yeah, don't get too close unless you want to be visited by some heavily armed individuals who are going to ask you what you're doing there. But,
No, that was like lockdown guys. Like, there's
it really is, yeah. Trust me, if you drive around and Pam knows this, she's up there a lot. If you drive around Windswept or Zephyr, around where Sykes is, or down where the Graphene Center is, they know you're there. And they know your tag number, and they know what you're, and if you
Pick
linger,
up trash, if it blows across to the fence, let it go.
leave it alone. That's right. So, but yeah, we do have a great opportunity for data center recruiting here in the county. So that's really where we're starting. So those were our target industries. A few more things that we identified, and again, I'm not going to go through somebody's business. Only Jack Mack could have done it. That's the greatest thing ever. That's the greatest thing ever. So some other things that we did, and I'm not going to read through these. I'm going to hit the highlights. Of course, we identified what services we offer. The first one is really a big one for us, site and building development. Also on your table, you've got a little flyer that we developed. One of our goals is to create a commercial property database in our office. That way, when we get a lot of requests from the Small Business Development Center, from just businesses in general, folks looking to start a small business who are not, and we're not just talking about 50,000 square foot industrial space. We get more requests for, I need 5,000 square feet of retail space, or I need 3,000 square feet for a distribution center. We get a lot of requests for things like that. We're very limited on the property that the county or the IDA owns, so we're going to make a hard push to work with real estate agents, to work with private property owners to get us their information. That way, when we get these requests into our office, we're able to make some connections. We're able to say, okay, I know Don Purdy's got 5,000 square foot of storefront in downtown Norton. We're going to get these people connected with Don. That's our goal, is to be able to do that, because that's something that we've never had. We're very familiar with the properties that county and the IDA own, but when it comes to private property, we don't really know all those things, and we want our office to kind of be a one-stop shop when people are looking for those types of things. Already talked about the business expansion and relocation, marketing, small business development. We've got a lot of great things happening in our county. With the Small Business Development Center and Becky Purdy, the products that we offer, and also incentives. We want to be the go-to resource for any incentives that are available, whether it be tax abatements or whether it be grant and loan programs. We want to be that one-stop shop for all of these things in Rice County. One more thing that I want to mention, that there are a couple of other sheets on your table, but before I turn it over to Natalie to kind of talk about our marketing and community development efforts, this flyer doesn't really fit into our presentation, but we wanted everyone to be aware of this. This is a really neat program that we're working with Sandy Ratliff. Many of you know Sandy. Working with Sandy at VCC to have this Airbnb workshop. So just wanted to point that out to everyone, that there is a flyer on that. That's coming up on March the 22nd. It's an online event. It's in the morning, so we hope everyone's able to get registered for that. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie, and she's going to speak to our marketing and community development efforts.
Brian, one other thing as far as for the economic development. I don't know if you mentioned it when y'all did the groundbreaking out at the data center about solar that's coming in out there.
The solar, we did have thanks, Reed. We did have a groundbreaking for and this has been a project that's been probably 4 years in the making, so we were really excited to break ground on this project back in December. But along with the Mineral Gap Data Center, the Mineral Gap Solar Project is going to be located just across the street from the data center. It's going to be about a 20-acre solar farm. It's going to be really the first of its kind in the country that's on previously coal-mined land. There are some other solar developments in the country that are on previously mined land, but not coal-mined land. That's one thing we found out, so we want to make that distinction. So we've been working with Virginia Energy, Mineral Gap Data Center, the Sun Tribe Solar Group out of Charlottesville, so yeah, we did break ground on that. So if you go out by the data center, again, don't stop, just come to cruise right on by. You'll see some development going on there on the right-hand side of the road. We're expecting by summertime for that to be up and running and operational. That's our goal at this point. So that's going to be a pretty substantial solar.
Certification that y'all.
There is, yeah. We did also. We're recognized as part of the Soul Smart program, which is a nationwide recognition program for solar development. We were recognized as a gold level, which is the highest level that can be received. And as part of that program, that really is kind of all encompassing. So that talks about residential, commercial, and industrial scale solar. We have to have streamlined permitting processes, and a lot of different things go into play there. So we're actually the only locality in the region that has the gold level in that SoulSmart program. So, again, if we back up to our target industries, energy is one of our target industries. We see a tremendous opportunity in Miles County for solar development. We're currently working with the Nature Conservancy. They were mentioned earlier, and I'm sure you all seen some of the news. Multiple, talking 4 or 5 large-scale, thousands of acre solar projects that are currently in the development phase in Miles County, which is going to be a great job creator on the front end of those projects, and it's going to be an even better tax base benefit on the back end of those projects. Yeah, good point. I'm going to turn it over to Natalie and let her talk to you about our marketing efforts.
Thank you, Brian. Great job as always. Brian is the talker between the two of us, but I warned him this morning that I had my large, like triple caramel, whatever coffee, so I got a lot of sugar going right now, so I'm going to try to keep up with it. So stop me and ask any questions. So Brian mentioned earlier that we manage the Economic Development Office for the county. Everything that he just told you about, we decided that just wasn't enough work for the two of us, so we also manage the county's Office of Marketing and Community Development. So about a year ago, Brian and I kind of were tasked with taking over this department. Luckily for us, the Economic Development Office and Community Development really go hand in hand. There's a lot of commonalities between economic and industrial development and community development, especially in areas, our businesses that are considered amenity type of businesses, and businesses that bring quality of life offerings to the county. So we saw that opportunity, and we decided that we could leverage marketing and tourism activities in the county to really continue growing our economic development goals and to promote population growth for the county. So when we took over the office, we decided that's going to be our focus, that's going to be our goal for marketing and community development. We sat down, brainstormed a little bit, and thought, okay, how are we going to do this? We came up with a new slogan that we think is pretty good. We hope you agree. Stay for a weekend, stay for a lifetime. I think most folks have started trying to get that out there on social media and a few other ways, so hopefully everyone's heard of that by now. If you haven't, you're going to now. So this is the new logo we developed for it. We've reached out to a local graphic designer, Amber Amberby. I would say a lot of folks have worked with Amber before. She does a lot of work in the region. She's based out of Abington, but she does work all over the region, and I think she works quite a bit with the Heart of Appalachia program. So Amber does great work. She developed this logo for us in several different formats, so we can use it in a lot of different mediums, print, digital, very versatile for us. So again, stay for a weekend, stay for a lifetime. The idea behind that is Wise County is a great place to come and visit, come and stay for a weekend, great place for tourism, stay for a lifetime, even better place to move to, even better place to live. So it kind of serves dual purposes there. So with this great new logo, we were taking a look at our county tourism website, Visit Wise County, and we realized it's looking a little rough, needs some updates, hadn't been touched in several years. Really just outdated, didn't reflect who we are as a county anymore. We reached out to Heart of Appalachia. They had just done their own website refresh process, and they got some tips from them that they had worked with this great company called Visit Widget, who specializes in tourism websites. Visit Widget, actually their main kind of specialty is tourism trip planning apps. So we decided we're going to take them up on that too. Just a couple of months ago, we were able to roll out the new and improved Visit website and mobile trip planning app. We're going to show you that in just a minute if you haven't seen it. Some of our favorite new resources, information on both of those platforms. I don't know if you can see it or not, but and we're updating it every day. But we have quality of life listings, so things that are interesting to tourists and interesting to residents. So things that are like our restaurants, our shopping, our trails, all of our recreation, anything that you might want to do. We've got relocation resources, so information on local real estate agencies, our school systems. What else relocation-wise, Brian? We've really got a big list.
Yeah.
Anything to do
Healthcare.
Healthcare. We have a new community calendar of local events, and we also have a local deals page, which kind of acts as as a coupon page for local businesses to submit coupons on that people can access. Anyone can submit events, anyone can submit coupons to us for free of charge. We're gonna put them on there, gonna get them in front of people. If you've got an event going on, we wanna be the main point of contact, main point of access for people to see those. So towns, our local, our county tourism committee works with us quite a bit and submits events that they know are going on in their towns. But if your business has an event going on, something that's promoting your business, please be sure to get on and add those with us. It really does have, the audience is growing every day, and you're missing out if you're not on there. And hopefully you can see this. This is just a quick look at pictures at our new website. And I'm going to walk you through those a little bit, but the best way to see the website is for yourself. We've got a QR code up here. We'd like to ask you, if you will, if you'll indulge us here, take out your phone and bring up your camera. You can scan this QR code. It's going to take you right to the website.
This is the interactive part of the show. We're going to wake everybody up and get you to scan that QR.
You notice who that person on the top interviewed?
I think you might recognize this person here.
Familiar face, strategic placement there. Yeah.
Or the CDKs here.
So what's going to happen? I'll give you.
Go ahead. Go for it.
So what's going to happen when you scan this QR code? Hopefully everybody can get that. If not, we'll make it available a little bit later. Because that's going to pop up our website on your mobile device. If you have not already downloaded, and actually probably if you have already downloaded it, once you scan and the website pops up, you're going to get a banner that drops down at the top that asks you to download the mobile app. All right. We want to encourage everyone. If you've not already downloaded the mobile app, we want to ask you to do that right now, because the more downloads we get, the more popular our app is. The further up in the app store it shows up for folks. Okay. But we want to talk about the app in just a couple of minutes. But this will give you the mobile version, and then you can download the app. It's available on Android and Apple products through the Apple.
Whatever type of phone you have.
Whatever type of phone you have, you're going to be able to get that. So we'll give everybody just a second to do that, and then we can.
So you can poke around the website there when you get there and start downloading that app. But here's some of the things you're going to be able to see on there. We're going to get over here. So this is our new home screen. You can't really tell from back there, I'm sure. But we've got a great picture of High Knob here. We've got the new slogan, brand new menu bar up here. Things like relocate, events, deals. What else we got? Explore, eat and drink, stay. Really great, I think really visually exciting kind of new homepage here. We've got the new logo right front and center. This High Knob picture is included in about a 45-second long clip. Really great, beautiful videography by Brad Dill of Wise County in there. Highlights some of our most appealing activities. It's got features Spearhead trails. It's got mountain biking and what else, Brian? It's got fly fishing, food, motorcycles, drinks. It's got all of it.
Horses,
everything you want.
What more can you ask?
Here to the left, this is our community calendar. This says February 24th here, so this is everything that was going on in Wise County yesterday. Looks like we've got some DJ bingo going on. It's a karaoke night. Songwriters workshop at the Big Stone Cap General Store. So again, this is a free resource. Anyone can go on our website. There's an option to submit an event to us. You submit it to me. I'm going to get it uploaded the same day if I can. It's going to come up there. Everyone's going to be able to see it on the app or on the website. Again, up here we've got Katie Hayes. Thank you, Katie. Katie's part of our Statewide Advocates program, a new program for us that we're trying out. It's part of our relocation resources. Katie's telling us a little bit about herself up here, about her community involvement, fun fact, and what she loves about Wise County. Katie?
This Statewide Advocate program is probably one of our favorite parts of this entire campaign that we're doing. And I've got to give credit to some of the folks in this room for this idea. And I'm not sure if Dick, if you and Dan are going to remember this conversation or not that we had probably at I guess it was a virtual chamber retreat meeting you had last year. But one of the things that you all talked about specifically and that the group had some good feedback on is one of the best resources we've got in our county, in our region, are our people. And I know Dan, you talked about how Crutchfield uses uses people on their website. You use West Polly as an example to where people can see who he is and what his interests are. And Dick talked about some of the things, the same things, about testimonials, about people, the people that we have in Wise County, telling why Wise County is special to them and why they chose to come to Wise County. I've used Dick's example a lot of times because he kind of was latched onto this idea early on because, and I'm sorry, Dick, to single you out like that, but Dick said, you know, that's what I did. That's my story. Is I came to Wise County for a job interview. I got hired, and I'm still here. Me and my family are still here. However many, I don't know.
March 1st will be 33 years.
33 years later. Those are the kind of stories that we want to tell. So we reached out to some community folks, Dick Houchins included. Katie is on this list, of course. We wanted to reach out to some folks in the community. And we wanted folks to, when they go to our website, for them to be able to hear those stories and to see why these folks decided to either stay in Wise County or relocate to Wise County. And we've gotten a tremendous amount of positive feedback on that. And one extra step to this Statewide Advocate program is folks can actually get connected with these folks. So if someone sees Katie's bio on there and they think, you know what, I'd kind of like to talk to Katie, they can reach out. We don't put them directly in contact with her. They can fill out a form, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind that because she's just awesome. So they can fill out a form on our website, and they can say, hey, I'm interested in speaking to Katie Hayes. We get them connected. That way they can have an email conversation. They can meet for coffee, anything like that, to where we make those one-on-one personal connections. So we are really excited about this Statewide Advocate program. Right now we've got 11 or 12 folks on there, so, and probably going to be some familiar faces other than Katie that you see on that page. So we're really excited about that part of this program.
Thank you, Brian. No, great point. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone on here, we tried our best and made a concerted effort to get folks from every town, every community, from diverse backgrounds. So there's someone on here that we hope can relate to anyone interested in Wise County. So check that page out for sure. That's under the relocation resources.
I know the service may not be very good in this big metal building. Was anybody able to get the app downloaded yet? Or, okay, all right, very good. Very good.
Right now, but it's
I figured a big metal building, you know. If you're not able to find it and you don't get the QR code, if you go to your app store and you search for Visit Wise County VA, you're going to get it. So, okay.
Y'all need to go down and check out the cricket phones down there. They got theirs
We can
downloaded.
get you set up. We got 5G.
See that? Look there. Yeah, shameless plug. I like it.
I learned from Dan Minahan.
Go ahead. Go ahead, man.
So again, everyone on the Statewide Advocates program, everyone's kind of got a different background, but all these folks share a love of Wise County, and the goal is to help them sell Wise County and help other people fall in love with Wise County too. So thank you to Katie and thank you to everyone who is involved in that program. Last picture up here, that's our deals page. I'm sure you can't see it, but it's Black Bear Barbecue down in Appalachia, and then the general store down in Big Stone. They both got deals going on right now. These are live on the website. So if anybody's interested in putting a coupon up on the website, you can personalize it. A lot of fun tools you can use there. You just let us know what you want to do and we'll make it work.
There's a submit a deal link on the website. So if you want to, and what that does is that comes directly to Natalie and I. We load it into the website and it's there immediately.
All right. Anything else on that one, Brent? Okay. All right. So after our new logo, our branding campaign, the new website, the new app, you're asking, what's next? I'm going to tell you what's next. Last week, we officially got word from the Virginia Tourism Corporation that we had been approved for $40,000 in ARPA Tourism Recovery Funds, which is really great timing for us with the new website, with the new branding. These funds are going to give us an opportunity to put some dollars toward tourism marketing activities. Now, it's state money, so there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations tied to that, but there are a lot of good opportunities for us. And in our case, it's going to look like, and these are funds that, this is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for counties in Virginia. Every county was pre-approved up to a certain amount. Ours is based on things like population, how much tourism activity we bring into the county. So that's how much we were approved for. We submitted a spending plan that we were approved last week. They gave us the okay to go ahead and get some new rack cards developed and printed and out there with the new logo, the new slogan. We're going to do some new print and digital advertisements, which you're going to see here in a second. We're going to do some new display units, which is going to be stand-up banners. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second too. We're going to do some new roadway signage. So if you've ever been coming into Wise County, you might have noticed that the county has some big kind of burgundy welcome to Wise County signs. If you looked closely at those,
And we hope you have it.
we hope you have it. You're going to notice they're in pretty rough shape. They need some TLC, so we are going to get those updated, and we're going to add a little, I don't know how exactly we're going to do it yet, but we're going to add some type of attachment to it that has the Visit Wise County URL on it, so people know that's really the point of contact to come and learn about Wise County. And then we also set aside some of the funds, a little bit of the funds for our towns to tell us if they had special projects, tell us how they want those funds used. So for our purposes, we're representing and we're promoting all of Wise County, but we did set aside a little bit of funds for each town if they had something that they wanted to do for their town. All right, a little bit blurry here, but just taking a peek, these are going to be our new rack cards. It's going to be front and back. Again, the stay for a weekend, stay for a lifetime concept. We're going to be splitting that up between the two sides. On one side, stay for a weekend, so really selling the tourism piece, highlighting things like hiking, biking, fishing, kayaking, our music and cultural arts scene, restaurants, lodging. On the flip side, we've got the stay for a lifetime idea. So really trying to sell Wise County is a great place to live. So here we're touching on things like our low cost of living, affordable real estate. We've got our great school system. I wish you could see these pictures. They're really incredible, beautiful pictures. So these are also going to be, so down here, banner stands. We're going to kind of pull double duty. These are going to be our rack cards, but we're also getting banners made from these designs. The rack cards are going to go into some brochure stand. I'm sure everybody's familiar. You walk into, a restaurant or a gas station, and there's kind of a brochure stands around. These are going to be in the Tri-Cities area, as well as Virginia and Kentucky Mountains area, and we're also looking at expanding out in a few months into some new areas for us, potentially in North Carolina, maybe some other areas. We're also going to have tons of these on reserve. If any local business wants to have these and keep them in front of the store, you reach out to us, we'll get them to you. We want them in front of as many people as possible. I think our first order of them, we're ordering 60,000 of them. So let us know if you want. The banner stand idea, we are going to keep a couple. Brian and I will keep a couple on reserve. We do go to kind of trade shows and marketing shows sometimes. We're going to keep a couple that we can set up. But beyond that, we're going to have, I think we said about 4 or 6
We're going to have 2
sets.
We're going to have 6 sets total. And 2 of those sets will be in rotation.
Yes. So we're going to keep 2 sets in rotation on reserve that we will be able to loan out on a temporary basis to businesses or organizations in Wise County about a month at a time. You can set them up and keep them in your shop, in your restaurant, wherever, and kind of promote Wise County for us. So you can put them in, we can rent them out to Spearhead. They can put them right here in front of house, and we'll see them coming in. So let us know. I think we'll probably have to do a request form for those on the website. So look for that. But those will be available here, I would think, within the next couple of months. All right, talk a little bit about doing some new print and digital advertisements. I mentioned Amber being a graphic designer. She does great work, so we reached out to her again, and she's done this piece for us. This is a really beautiful shot. I think Tim Cox took that picture. That's the Powell Valley overlook there. It's got the new slogan. I don't know if you can read the bottom. I don't know if I can read the bottom. But again, just touching on that whole relocation and tourism piece. This is going to be featured in USA Today Travel and Blue Ridge Outdoors and several publications. We're going to run that a few times in Blue Ridge Outdoors. And then we're also going to do some sponsored posts on Facebook and Instagram with that, and probably a few other places too, but these are kind of our initial targets.
Natalie, are you doing things at Tri-Cities Airport?
We've been talking about that actually, yes.
You did
Yeah.
lines there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone mentioned, was it someone? was it you mentioned?
Probably months ago.
It might have been, but that, yeah, and we have talked about that, yeah, we, and that's something we talked about.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. Those are really beautiful displays. They're kind of lighted above. I think I know exactly what you're talking about, kind of in the baggage claim
Yeah, they
area
are.
there, right? Yeah, no, we think that's a great idea. I totally agree.
I would recommend putting some of those cards down at the airport in Flatwoods too, because there's a lot of air traffic that comes through
That's a good suggestion.
Lee County that
Yeah.
might, bring up this way.
Great
It's-
idea,
it's
great
good.
idea, great idea. All right, I think this is my last slide. Last but not least. So I think most of y'all have probably seen this. If you keep up with your email better than I do, you've probably seen it. I sent this out a couple, 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is our kind of our Wise County logo wear push. These products, some t-shirts here, some hats, some long sleeves with the logo. These are all designed, produced, and managed by Wynn's Company, which is out of Norton. And these are going to be available to local retailers for resale. You can do a wholesale purchase of them, or you can do them on a written consignment basis, written consignment arrangement with Wynn's Company. So really just, again, trying to get this new slogan, this new idea out in front of people. The county has done an initial first purchase, kind of a bulk order for county employees, and we did extend that offer to the chamber. So hopefully take advantage of that. I think I do have a few orders from chamber folks. But if you're interested in this, or if you're interested in buying or selling, these are going to be in stores soon. If you want to sell it, Wynn's Company can hook you up. Just let us know, and we'll get you connected with Blake Sal here.
When will these be here? Like the ones that
We're going to blame Mr. Hatfield since he's not here. But really, we should be able to submit that order next week. Yeah.
A little bit of a delay, but yes, the turnaround time when they actually start being made is pretty quick. So I would say within the next 2 to 3 weeks, I would think.
I'm excited about my little hat. I think it's really
I'm excited about my little hat too. I ordered like one of everything up here.
So one other thing I want to point out, and one thing that I hope you've noticed, not just on this piece that you have in front of you, but on the website and on the tourism advertising, parking advertising that we're going to be doing. One of the first things that Natalie and I noticed when we really started taking a good hard inventory of our Visit Wise County website is there were a lot of great pictures. Families out camping, people riding motorcycles, people out having a good time. The problem with that is that none of those people and none of those places were Wise County. And so that's one commitment that we made early on, is we were not going to use stock photography on the website or the app or in any of our advertising. We've got too beautiful of a place to use stock photography. And so everything that you see on this card, everything that you're going to see on the website, everything you're going to see on the app is all going to be local photography that we've purchased from some great local photographers. So if you've not had a chance to download the app yet, and I know you're not going to be able to see this, so when you pull up the app, the service is a little bit tough in here, but if you've not had a chance to download the app yet, here's some of the cool things about the app. You're going to be able to see all the categories that are on the website. So there's going to be an Explore tab, which is going to give you all the attractions, all the recreation opportunities and things of that nature. There's going to be a Stay tab. That tells you all the places you can stay, from the Inn at Wise to bed and breakfast to chain hotels. All those types of things. Airbnbs, those are starting to get more popular in our area, so those are all going to be there. Eat and drink is pretty well self-explanatory. All of our events are going to show up on the app. So everything that's on the website is going to be on the app also. The cool thing about the app, and I'm not a technology guy, but when we've been working through this with Visit Widget, it's just blown our mind what this app will do. The coolest thing about the app is the map feature. So not only if you go to Eat and Drink and you look for a coffee shop, let's just say hypothetically I'm going to look for a coffee shop, not only are you going to be able to see all the information for that coffee shop, so right there I get the first one that pops up, Appalachian Mercantile and Coffee in Appalachian. Not only are you going to be able to see information on that business, you're going to be able to see a link to their website, their phone number, all those relevant things, some of the things they offer. But you're also going to be able to pull them up on a map feature. And on that map feature, you're going to be able to tell this to take me to this location. Okay, and not only does it take you to individual business, you can actually do trip planning. So you could, if you want to spend an entire day in Wise County and you want to map out your route, you can go in and tell this app feature everywhere you want to go, and it's going to give you the best route to get between the two. It's going to give you driving distances. It's going to give you driving times. It's going to allow you to customize. You can create an account on this feature, and you can save your favorites to where you can go back and forth to that. We know that's not going to be a huge deal for local folks, but for people coming to Wise County on vacation or to visit family, whatever the case is, we see this as being a really cool feature that they're going to be able to take advantage of. So we encourage you to just kind of play around with that app a little bit, because we're really excited about all the features. We're learning new things.
Yeah.
Every time we have an update call with Visit Widget, we learn new things that this app will do. So it's going to continue to change and continue to be updated.
And we're adding new things all the time. And really, Brian and I are the one that's maintaining the listings and the recreation, everything. So if something's missing, we really need folks to tell us.
Yeah.
We can go in and add anything, but if we don't know it's not there.
And one thing that we're going to try to avoid, and this was a recommendation from both Visit Widget and Virginia Tories, I know we're running a little bit long, Rick, I'm sorry. One thing we're going to try to do, we don't want this to be like a phone book, okay? We want this to be the mom and pop amenity type businesses that so you're not going to see McDonald's listed on the places to eat. You're not going to see Burger King listed, but you are going to see Crooked Road Barbecue, and you are going to see Sugar Hill Cidery and Sugar Hill Brewery. So those are the types of businesses that we're going to have that we're really going to try to promote on this side. So with that being said, we're going to be quiet now, and we're happy to answer any questions or try to, or if not, we'll defer to someone who might be able to answer. But again, thank you all for the opportunity to be here. We're happy. We gave everybody a sticker. We did have some stickers made with their logo, so you've got one of those. You want to proudly display that on your car. Those are automotive stickers, so they will last. Any questions? Anything we can answer for anyone?
Great work, you guys. This thing's great.
I'll give you an example of, make sure you get your businesses, or if y'all know anybody who needs to get on the trip planner thing, because if it's not on there, they can't plan to go there. I was talking to Jack Flannery from North 40 Airsoft the other day. He came in the office. We were talking about things that he had going on, and he's got competitions going on his property. And he said, well, and I was telling him about the trip planner. He said, well, how do I get on that to where people can know that I've got a competition going on that weekend and so forth and so on. We've got to let them know to get on there.
Yeah, we've got to get you. So businesses, we have to get you listed as a listing and get you popping up in the right categories, and then that will allow folks to be able to add you to their trip planning on the map features. Yeah, good point. Any questions?
Thank you
All
all.
right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Rick. So Rick has been on our workforce development board, probably has served on our board as long as I've actually been employed there, maybe a little bit before. So Rick can probably give this presentation too. So he's been a good, faithful member of the board, and I know I've worked with several of you all in different capacities. So I wanted to spend a few minutes today, just for those of you all that don't know, to give you a brief introduction of the workforce development board. But I know I've got several folks that we either worked with here or that have served on our boards and various committees. So I won't spend a ton of time talking about that. I do want to spend a little bit of talking about the state of the workforce, both at a national level and then locally, because everywhere that I go, that's what I'm hearing is recruiting and retention and labor shortages. So I kind of wanted to demystify a little bit about what we're seeing and what we think is going on. We're still trying to get our arms around it. And then maybe give you some strategies or just some things to think about as you're trying to recruit and retain workers as we're kind of coming out of COVID. So just really briefly, the Workforce Development Board is a federally funded program. We are funded out of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA, out of the Department of Labor. So this money comes down through the state and then into the local areas. The Workforce Development Board is actually a nonprofit. And the workforce development boards were designed so that there would be a lot of local autonomy, because let's just be honest, our economy looks very, and our needs are very different here in Southwest Virginia than they would be in Northern Virginia or Southern Virginia. So there's a lot of local autonomy. We have a 38-member board, which Rick serves on, David served on. We also have an 8-member chief local elected official. So Wise County has a board of supervisors representative, Tim Wardwine, that sits on that committee. Steve Bates actually just retired from that committee. So every county gets representation there to be able to dictate what goes on in the workforce in the region and what each county's needs are. And so our goal, we do a couple of different things. We work with job seekers. So we have programs that serve youth, ages 18 to 24. We have programs that serve adults that may have barriers to the workforce. So they may be low income, they may have low educational attainment, and we try to figure out how to get them into training, how to get them into a sustainable employment, and then my piece, and then we also work with dislocated workers. So when we have huge closures or layoffs in the region, we go in and assist those workers to help them transition to their next job. Now, we don't do all of this by ourselves. We have several partners that help us do that. We work closely with the community colleges, the Virginia Employment Commission, our friends at Flatwoods Job Corps, departments of social services, the University of Virginia's College at Wise, the SBDCs, all of those entities that kind of touch workforce serve on a business services team where we kind of work together. And so one of the roles that I kind of play, and I tell businesses, if you have a workforce need and you don't know who to call me. And I can reach out, I can be that liaison and reach out to all of those business services to see who may have a resource that can help you. And so we also operate workforce centers in the region. In Wise County, you can find our Virginia Career Work Center located in the Norton VEC. We also have a center in Duffield at the Pioneer Center. And then we also have centers in Lee County, in Jonesville and St. Charles as well. So we have representation in all of the counties that we serve. And our goal is to find out what businesses need and then go back to all of our other workforce partners, communicate that, and also to the job seekers. So you may be familiar with WIA, JTPA, CETA. Workforce programs have existed in some type of form pretty much since World War II. Since after World War II, we had all the GIs that came back and needed work. So we've been at this for a little while, but the thing that I love about WIOA is it's much more business driven. So our service region is planning districts 1 and 2. So we serve Little Wisco and the Cumberland Plateau Planning District. We are one of 15 workforce development areas in the state. So what I want to talk about is one of the things that I always get hit with when we're talking about as we're coming out of COVID is what's going on with the labor force. I bet if I went around the room here, everybody would talk about recruiting issues that they are having and some of the struggles that they're having. So I've tried to research, we're trying to stay on top of that too because it does affect us. And then, to be able to have information to try to have businesses. So I'm just going to share some things that through my research and just through working that I've been able to find. Since about spring of 2001, we've had about 30 million people nationwide quit their jobs, and that came from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so folks are like, well, where are they going? They're going a number of places. So we were already getting into a tight labor market, both nationally and locally, before COVID. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of the reasons is our baby boomers, we've got an aging workforce, and our baby boomers were starting to retire out. And one of the things that happened during COVID is we've seen them retire in a large group. So we kind of had a mass exodus during COVID of baby boomers for a number of reasons. Maybe they got laid off from their job. We had that happen. We had a factory close, and we had a lot of skilled workers, and I had businesses from other states calling from all the way up the New River Valley saying, hey, we'd like to have those skilled workers. And they said, you know what? We're gonna retire and go home. The vast majority of them retired out and went home. And we could have placed every one of them in good paying jobs. So there's been some of that. Some of it is just COVID concerns, people concerned about being in the workplace that maybe, would have been affected by COVID and said, I'm not going to take the risk, I'm going to retire and go home. So we've seen like a mass exodus during COVID, and one of the issues is the baby boomers did not have enough kids to replace themselves. So there's not enough millennials and now Gen Zs that are coming in the workforce to replace all of those folks that left, which has left us with a nationwide labor shortage. Some other things that affected that is we do have folks that have started their own businesses during COVID. They have found some type of need and jumped out and started their own business. We also have an issue where during COVID, when the schools shut down and everything went on virtual learning, we have parents that had to make the decision to bring somebody out of the workforce. So we had mostly women, about 2 million, leave the workforce during COVID. And we don't know that we'll get them back until we kind of get through this. So those are some of the nationwide trends that we've seen. Some of the industries that we've really seen affected: education, transportation, healthcare, food services, hospitality, social services, and manufacturing. So it's really kind of touched a lot of industry sectors that we're seeing this great resignation affect. So as of December 31st, there are nearly 11 million jobs that are open nationwide. And so, we've not been immune to that here. So let's talk a little bit about our region. And so right now, our region as a whole has about a 3.5% unemployment rate. And that is getting pretty close to full employment, because you're always going to have some folks in transition. So we don't have a ton of people that are still sitting out there unemployed as a result of COVID. And there is a regionally from the two that we saw a 46.7% labor participation rate. So out of the 100% of folks that could be working, we've got 46.7 that are. So there's about 56%, I think, in Virginia, and it's like 66% nationwide. So that's kind of where we're trending, and that would be important to kind of talk about here in a minute. So some of those things that have affected on a national level, our baby boomers retiring, women leaving the workforce due to virtual learning, that's also affected us very much regionally. So, that's been compounded by the decline, a little bit of a decline in our population. But there is hope. So I don't want to. So I just wanted to give you all, number one, just to kind of know what we're looking at, just a snapshot of what we're seeing on the workforce side. But then also to leave you with some hope and some strategies to address workforce needs. So these are just some things that we're seeing, some trends that I've researched, some things that we're seeing. This is certainly, some of these may apply to you, none of these may apply to you. You may say, Rachel, none of that's going to work for the type of business that we operate. And that's fine. But what I want to do today is to get you to start thinking. To start thinking about your recruitment strategy, your retention strategy, because the businesses that figure that out will be the businesses that are going to be successful in this post-COVID era. And so I'll just share some things maybe that you need to think about. And so the first thing I want to talk about is retention, because everybody's like, we've got a labor shortage, we've got positions we can't fill. Mercy, we need a recruiting strategy. But I would say that first and foremost, you need to think about retention. You need to think about what it is that you can do to retain the employees that you already have. Because with 11 million jobs open, if you have a key position come open in your company, it's going to be difficult to fill right now. It is. And so I would encourage you first and foremost to look at your retention strategies. What are you doing to retain those workers? And so just some things that I can see is just internal mobility. So one of the reasons that businesses we know lose workers is I start there and I don't see how I can move up within that company. And so, and that's some of the things that we can kind of help with, is help you sit down and kind of look at those career ladders. If I come into an entry-level position in your company, where can I go next? What's the next level? Where can I move up to? And what training, what skills, what things do I need to do to get to that level? Because a lot of times people leave companies because they cannot see where they can move up in that company. They think to move to that next level position, they've got to hop companies. So a couple of things that I would encourage you to do. If you've got open positions, who do you have internally that maybe could fill that position? Do you have somebody that already maybe works in that space, has the aptitude to do that type of work, that you could fill that position in? And if so, providing training opportunities for them to learn to do that job. And so, and I will talk about it in a minute, that's something that we can do to help you. Shifting job responsibilities. If you've got a job that's sitting open, is that something that maybe you could divide that work up among other workers and provide them an opportunity to promote and take on additional responsibilities, earn additional pay? And automation and outsourcing, are there opportunities for you to outsource work? Are there opportunities for you to automate something so that you're not having to put a person in that position right now? Are there opportunities to share a position? So you all are very networked within your industry. Are there instances where you could share a position among a couple of different businesses that maybe need to fill that same position? So just thinking outside of the box of how you could get some of those positions filled. And so, remote work. And so one of the things that we have discovered is economists are saying that we are in the largest change in American working and living conditions since World War II. And so everybody's kind of trying to get their hands around what's going on. Businesses are, workforce folks are, everybody's trying to figure out what in the world is going on. Because we have not seen anything like this since post-World War II. And so one of the trends that we are seeing is the shift to remote work. So we've seen some things happen during COVID. We've seen people migrating out of large cities where the impact of COVID was terrible into areas like Wise County, and they were able to do that because they could work remotely. We saw people, we were kind of trickling into the remote working era prior to COVID, but when we had to go home during those COVID closures, we all had to figure out very quickly how to do our job at home. And so people got home, they got comfy, they got in their loungy wear, and they like it. And so they want to stay home. As a matter of fact, according to ZipRecruiter, positions that are designated completely as remote are seeing 300% more applicants than positions that are in person. And so I would just ask you, are there positions in your company that could be done remotely? And that 300% more applicants. And so maybe not, but that's something to think about because there's a couple of things. It's going to expand your recruiting pool because now you can maybe recruit outside of Wise County and that labor shed. It expands your recruiting radius of where you can recruit. And we know that people want those remote working opportunities. So are there positions, maybe not every position in your company, but are there positions that can be done remotely or at least a hybrid schedule where maybe folks are not having to come into the office every single day? So something to think about. It is a strategy because, like I said, numbers speak for themselves, 300% more applicants. And it might allow you, like I said, for some of those key positions that you're having trouble filling locally, be able to pull from a little bit more regional, statewide, even national area if that's something that can be done remotely. One of the things that we can do to kind of help you is if you do identify folks within your company that maybe could fill an open position, we have what's called an Incumbent Worker Training Program. So we have some money set aside that we can help assist businesses with upskilling workers. And I know that some of you are aware of this program, may have used it. But what we can do is you identify the individuals that you want to train. As long as you've been in business in Virginia for a year or longer, your business qualifies. We're looking for current workers, so they would be somebody that would need to have been employed for at least 6 months with you. And we can help you pay for training, the fees, supplies, and the certifications to get that person upskilled with the goal of promoting them into a new position. So we're looking at what are those things that are going to move Jane from an entry-level position up to the next level. Does she need a credential? Does she need additional training? And if we pay for that training, you're going to move her up and she's going to earn additional pay. She's now going to have a certification and it's going to allow you to fill a key role. So that's something that we can kind of do to help with that, internal mobility. And that training can be a customized training program for your business, or it can be something that's already on the shelf. We know that there's an online school for that. We just need your help paying for it. Or there's something at the community college that they can take to do that. We just need some help with it. So we've done everything from CDL training, welding training. We've done, project management training. Kind of the sky's the limit. Get creative on that. But if that's something you're interested in, I'd be glad to talk to you about it. So let's shift a minute and talk a little bit about recruitment. And so, certainly you need to be looking at those retention strategies, and then you need to shift your attention to having a very targeted recruitment strategy, because with 11 million jobs, we have way more jobs open here regionally and nationally than we have bodies to put in them. So it's going to be the companies that are thinking strategically about how they fill those positions that are going to win. We are going to have businesses, I feel certain, nationwide that are gonna close their doors simply because they refuse to innovate in the way that they're recruiting, and they refuse to innovate in the way that they think about recruiting workers and what workers want. So we know with supply and demand, when anytime you have more jobs than you have job seekers, the job seekers kind of get to dictate what they want out of work. And so one of the things that we've seen is with the baby boomers retiring, we've got millennials now making up more than, millennials and Gen Zs making up more than 50% of the workforce. And so what they want out of work is very different than what baby boomers and even Gen wanted out of work. They're looking for flexibility. They're looking for work-life balances. And with 11 million jobs open, they're going to go where they can find those things. There's something to be very attentive about. One of the things that kind of blew my mind in doing all of this research, and some of you all may have read this because we shared it out with some of our stakeholders, but we read a study that talked about baby boomers were one of the wealthiest middle-class generations because they were one of the first generations where both husband and wife were working outside of the home. So they've accumulated all of these assets, they've accumulated all of this wealth, and the very oldest of the baby boomers are starting to pass on. Well, who are they leaving all of that wealth and those houses and all of those assets to? They are leaving it to their millennial kids who now have assets. And so guess what? They are not having to work. Or they have capital to start their own business or do their own things. So we were kind of shocked at that, but it is happening. So, now I've got a house that's paid for and mom and dad's assets, and so that gives me a little bit more flexibility to choose what I'm going to do. And so businesses just need to be aware that that's going on. So when you're looking at recruitment, like I said, remote workers, if you've got work that can be done remotely, that gives you a much larger area to be able to recruit out of. It gives you much more flexibility to be able to recruit some of those folks, like those mothers that had to quit because of virtual learning. They might could work virtually. They might be willing to work virtually, or they might be willing to work a part-time schedule where they could work around their kids' work schedules. I encourage you to look at workers with transferable skills. We've had 33 million people quit jobs since last year. They're going somewhere, and not all of them are going home. So they're looking to jump into new industries. So, I know everybody wants somebody that has 20 years of experience in their career field, but can you look at somebody's resume that may be jumping out of another industry that has 20 years of experience over there? They're a great worker, they have a lot of great skill sets. What are those transferable skills that they can bring into your position? And what's that training gap, and what would you need to do to get them to fit into that position? I understand that there are some positions that have licensure requirements, degree requirements, but I would encourage you to look at some of those positions that don't and see if there's workers coming from other industries that might have some skill sets that you could use to fill a position. I found it interesting, and it's going to that a lot of the big corporate guys are doing away with degree requirements in certain positions simply because they're having trouble filling those requirements. So, maybe it's not that, but what are those positions that maybe you could use somebody out of a different industry to fill? And looking at what are those transferable skill sets? Do you need somebody that's organized? Do you need somebody that has good communication skills? Is there someone that would come out of another industry that would have those skills? So when you're looking at resumes, kind of look at them with that critical eye. What do they have, even though they don't maybe have a lot of experience in my industry? What do they have that can contribute to this position? If they're smart, capable people, could we put them into this role and train them? And again, that's something that we could probably help with, is to fill that training gap. And I also encourage you to look at untapped labor pools such as youth and maybe re-entry populations. So again, this is not going to be a solution that works for everyone, depending on what industry you're in. But I remember when I told you that we had that labor market participation rate there, we've only got 46% of workers in Southwest Virginia that are currently working. And so one of the strategies that we've been doing over on the workforce development side is looking over at that little above 50% of folks that are sitting on the bench. They're not working. Who's sitting over there? Why are they sitting over there? And how can we get them off the bench and out to work? Some of those folks are not going to be able to work, and that's okay. But who are the folks that we could work? And what's preventing them from working? And how can we get them off the bench? and some of it is youth. So we have young people in Southwest Virginia. I think the latest data I have is like 2019-ish. We had about 600 kids in that 8 jurisdictions that we serve that graduated from high school and didn't go on into work. They didn't go on into any kind of training program. We don't know what they're doing. Well, that 600 kids a year, that's a lot of kids that we could have had locally in the workforce. So we're designing programs to try to help find those youth and figure out where the disconnect is and help them make that bridge into employment. And so some of the things that you can do is really look at, what are you doing around internship opportunities and apprenticeship programs and working with youth, and how can maybe you employ some youth and maybe pair them with more experienced people in your business currently to help them start developing some of those skills, those workplace skills. So youth, our reentry population. So we talked about, I was in a meeting yesterday with Rick, and we talked about, because of some of the changes in probation and parole and some of the ways that those are done that are kind of in my head, there's 4,000 people that are going to be released in July. About 800 to 1,000 of them will be coming into Southwest Virginia. Those folks are going to need jobs. Are there things that they can do within your facility? I understand licensure requirements for some positions, but some places they can work. And they make a really great, with some accommodations, they make some really great workers a lot of times, because they do want somebody to give them an opportunity so they can get back on their feet. And so, again, we have programs that are working with those returning citizens to try to help them get equipped to go back out to work. And so if that's something that you're interested in, but looking at some of those populations, again, we had 2 million parents go home. Could you offer a schedule for a parent that maybe doesn't have childcare to kind of offer some flexibility, some work from home, some hybrid options where they can work a schedule to work around that kid's school schedule. We are working on some child care initiatives. Our friends over at United Way Southwest Virginia, we're working on it. There's several entities, and there's an initiative going on that Rick wants me to talk about here in a minute, which I will. But we are working to try to get more child care into the region. But it is a process, and it is a barrier that prevents people from coming to work. If you don't have anywhere to leave your child home, that does prevent people from working. So if that's something that you can be flexible with, that gives you a whole pool of workers. And I know businesses even here regionally that will do that. They will offer a part-time shift for working parents. And so just something to think about. So again, recruitment is something that we can help with. I'm more than willing to kind of sit down and brainstorm with you to help you figure out what your recruiting strategy could look like. Where is an untapped pool of labor that you might can tap into? And certainly help brainstorm some of those. We've worked with several businesses on that. But we also offer some things like job fairs. We can do job fairs for you both in person and virtual. And that can look like anything you want it to. Sometimes we'll get a facility such as this one and invite several businesses to come set up. Sometimes I just come to businesses and sit in their lobby and take applications. Sometimes, we have the ability to do things virtually. So we can do job fairs virtually. All of those are, and the good thing about it is we take care of all the details for that. So we help with the advertising, we do all the logistics. You just kind of tell us when, where, and what, and we do it. And so that takes that off with you. Sometimes if you don't have a ton of job openings, it doesn't really make sense to do a job fair. So we have a couple of different tools. So we can help you do job listings through the Virginia Employment Commission, their Virginia Workforce Connection website. So anybody can use that website. They can register and look for jobs, but they also capture all of the individuals that are on unemployment. And so they have to register through that system. So that's often where they're looking for jobs. But we also can simply just help you advertise your job. Sometimes businesses will just send me a thing and say, hey, we have an opening for such and such. We will create a snazzy graphic and we'll put it out on our social media page, and then all of our friends will share it. I know Wise County will a lot of times pick those up and share it out in Wise County. Rick will pick those up off of our website if it's a Wise County or surrounding area opening and start sharing that out. And so sometimes just promoting your job like that can help find you applicants. We can help with candidate screenings, we can help with assessments, and then, helping with assistance with job descriptions. And so, again, as people get into tight recruiting things, one of the things I find is sometimes people have a long wish list of job descriptions that they may or may not need. And that's something, if you just want some help with that, help writing one, or just help looking at one and see if it really matches up with what the job is, we're happy to come out and sit and have that conversation with you. And just talking a little bit about wages. So we know that wages have to be competitive for the job market. But one of the things I don't think people realize is now with remote work, it means we aren't just competing locally for labor anymore. When I can sit in Wise County and get a job and work anywhere in the United States remotely and maybe make more money, we have to be attentive to that if that's something that's going on in your industry that you may need to be aware of. That I may be able to sit home in my jammies and make more money working for a company out of Florida or New York than I can make working for your company. So just be aware of that we're not just competing in a local area for wages any longer. And so one of the things that we can do is we can help provide you with labor market information. And we can pull LMI from anywhere. We've got relationships with Virginia Tech's Office of Economic Development. They can find stuff that I didn't even know existed. But even locally with the Virginia Workforce Connection, there's a lot of data available around things like wage analysis and all of those labor market statistics that sometimes businesses will say, hey, look, I just want to see if we're being competitive wage-wise, and we can pull that in your labor shed and tell you kind of what everybody else is paying that position, both at entry level and mid level. But sometimes we have businesses that are going after grants and doing different things that they need labor market statistics. And this applies to our agency friends as well. We can help you track some of that data. If I have a little bit of notice, I can usually get labor market information for you. That's a service that we provide. So I'm happy to do it. And just talking, I guess, in wrap up, it's just talking a little bit about that company culture. So we talked about 11 million positions open. It is a job seekers market. So just thinking about how you compete. Again, we're making that big shift. We're having our baby boomers leave. We've got millennials and Zs that are making up the bulk of the workforce now. We know what they want out of a business, out of a job is a little bit different. So just looking at your company culture and saying, hey, how does our business fit with what these job seekers are looking for in a job? And how can we adjust that based on the new workers that are coming into the workforce? And so, I would just encourage you to have those conversations with your leadership team, to be attentive to those things, because it looks different in every industry. It looks different for every business. Some businesses are large, small. It's going to look different. So I can't sit here and have the conversation of here's the 10 things you need to think about, but you do need to be talking about it and thinking about it. Because again, we've got this many jobs open, this many workers, somebody's not going to have a worker, and I don't want anybody in this room. We want you to be able to get those positions filled with good qualified folks. So again, taking a look at who are you recruiting, what's important to them, what barriers might they encounter. Again, we've kind of talked about the child care issue, so we know that that's a challenge, particularly nationwide, but particularly here in Southwest Virginia. Like another huge barrier that we have with a lot of job seekers, especially if you're going to look at maybe working with returning citizens or youth, is a transportation barrier. Transportation is a huge issue here because we don't have a mass transit system. We are very geographically dispersed, so it's very difficult sometimes for people to get back and forth to work. And so, if you're willing to work with a huge number of reentry population, might you also be willing, maybe instead of offering some other type of benefit, be willing to hire somebody that's already on your staff to run a van to go and get them to work? We've seen businesses that have solved their workforce issue that way. If you're working, maybe in a manufacturing setting or a construction setting, just running a van. So thinking about that, if you think of one of these untapped labor pools that you want to go after, what accommodations might you need to make to address some of their barriers to help them get back and forth to work, to help them be able to be there on time? What is it that they need? And, how can you design a workplace that meets some of those needs? So, again, these are all things that I know I didn't touch on everything and maybe things that apply to everybody, but if there were things here that kind of piqued your interest, either services that we offer, or you just want, maybe bring a couple of members out of our team one day and sit and brainstorm about how you may redesign positions to be able to recruit, I am happy to do that. So one of my coworkers designed to help me design this PowerPoint, one of my creative techie folks, and so there's my picture on it. I didn't notice that till I was already down the road with it, but I do have cards with me today if you want to contact me, but of course Rick always knows how to get in touch with me. I hope some of this was helpful information to you all. Again, we just want to be able to help. So I'm happy to come out and just brainstorm with you and see if there's things maybe that we can help with, because this was by no means an exhaustive list of things that we can do. We have internship opportunities with some of our job seekers. We have on-the-job training programs that can help with those new hires that maybe are less experienced to help you cover some of those training costs. There's a lot of things that we can do to try to help you get those positions filled and to help with training. So certainly wasn't an exhaustive list today. Does anybody have any questions about this part? I'm right at my time. So I'll hang out for a minute if anybody wants to kind of talk to me off camera, I'm willing to do that. But one of the other things that Rick asked me just to briefly mention, and I will say that I know just enough about this to be dangerous, is another initiative that we've worked on. So we've talked about childcare. We know that that's a tremendous issue. It's a workforce issue. It's nationwide, but it's also here in Southwest Virginia, just the lack of childcare facilities to meet the current need. And so if you can't find somebody to help care for your kiddos either during the day or after school, that's a challenge to be able to get back and forth to work. So at the end of the previous Governor Northam's administration, we made a request to the governor's office, both us and our neighboring workforce development board in the New River Mount Rogers region, and United Way of Southwest Virginia made some requests for funding to develop a centralized administration area for child care businesses to kind of help them be able to operate more economically, and so and to help them save time. And so that's to help with things like recruiting, reporting, purchasing, training, those types of things. So the previous Secretary of Labor, United Way of Southwest Virginia, and us, it was about $1.2 million to kind of help move that initiative along. And so what happened is then the transition, that money didn't get sent to Southwest Virginia. So we also were awarded $100,000 apiece for both us, Roanoke, and then the New River Mount Rogers area to work with businesses to kind of figure out what your all's needs are post-COVID, so we can work on getting some funding and programming put in place to address those. So right now all of that funding is held up in Richmond. It was awarded, it's just not gotten down here. All of the other workforce areas across the state made similar requests for different projects in their region, and that money's been released. And so we've had a small group of businesses meeting with us that have been working on this child care initiative. The leader of that group being Melanie Crotty, what is it? Lawrence. It escapes me for a minute. I know, but she's been leading that group around that child care initiative. And so one of the things that she put together was a petition for businesses to be able to sign to say, hey, Richmond, we really need that funding down here. Could you release it to us so that we can get started on those initiatives, so we can get some of those things addressed? And so I know Rick is working on getting that petition, correct? So he's working on getting that petition from some of the business folks that are working on that to distribute that to you all, if you're interested in being a part of that initiative. So but we do know that child care is one of those pieces that we've got to address here in Southwest Virginia. It is a workforce, certainly a workforce issue that's affecting everybody. So did I do a credible job with that, Rick? Okay. So if you've got, like I said, if you've got any questions, thank you all for your attentiveness today. I'd love to work with you all individually. I'll hang out for a few minutes. I've got business cards, so just let me know if we need to chat. Yes, sir.
So, speaking for Norrisville Fabrication, we've used your agency quite a bit in various different programs and with great success. And I would encourage anybody to use this resource. It is valuable, it's useful, it's helpful. And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thanks, thank you. We really appreciate that. You all have been great to work with. Our goal is the same goal as Wise County, as the chamber. We just want to help the existing businesses that are here in Wise County and Southwest Virginia be successful and to grow their businesses. And so that's our hope and our goal, and hopefully have some great resources to help you do that. So with that, I will hush. So turn it back over to Rick.
A little bit about what that is today and a little bit about health in our area. Turn on the mic. Actually, Dan was supposed to introduce him for me, but if you've seen Dan, he was preoccupied this morning. I think he was having a lot of internet issues at work, so to him, that's critical. So he had to leave and go back to the office.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it. Good morning. Morning. Glad to be with you all. Thank you so much for the invitation, Rick. And it was Dan who made the initial call, and I've had the chance to get to know Dan over the past year, and have really appreciated him and the spirit of enthusiasm that he brings to everything and everybody that he touches. And he called me just before I got here and sent his regrets that he had to be on the way to putting out a fire, so we'll be thinking about that. So I guess I stand between you and lunch and throwing axes. So this is a big lift here, but I'm going to give you a little bit of information here and hopefully lift your spirits about the possibilities that we have here in the region, and give you an opportunity to plug into the work. So how many of you have ever heard of the Strong Accountable Care Community? Couple. Okay. Well, that's good, because we're going to get you educated about this, and hopefully you'll have a better sense when we're all said and done. So we're a collective impact coalition of now over 300 organizations in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, working to create brighter futures for children, families, and communities. We came out of 2018 when there was a groundswell of interest in our region with regard to not only how do we create a unified network of hospitals to take care of people when they're sick or injured, but more importantly, how can we take that and take the savings from that to be able to invest in community health improvement long term. And so that's what really this is about: long term regional work towards creating improved health and wellness and quality of life in our region. So our work stretches from early childhood development all the way through post-secondary college and career readiness and earnings potential to ultimately create the foundation for families to have the resources they need to raise their children and enjoy a quality of life here in the region. We have two backbone partners that help this coalition function, and one of those is Ballot Health, and the other one is United Way of Southwest Virginia. And they have been extremely generous in providing support, infrastructure, and leadership to help the coalition. The coalition is actually an independent, unincorporated, voluntary coalition. We're not a 501c3, don't intend to become one, but rather we are bringing groups together, organizations together across many sectors to work on these long-term goals for health improvement. And I'm really pleased that the Wise County City of Norton Chamber has been a member for some time, I believe. And I suspect that some of your organizations have touched our work at some point, and we have a half dozen or so organizations based here in Wise that are members and always interested in bringing more in. So what is an ACC? What is an accountable care community? This comes out of experience across the country that has shown us that the way to improve health is certainly by having good health care, but far more importantly than that, it's connecting health care to the other sectors that impact people's lives and addressing the social determinants of health, all the things that contribute to health, access to affordable housing, food, transportation, child care, good education, job training, all the things that impact people's lives, clean air, water, that if they're not addressed can contribute to poor health. So healthcare itself represents only about 10% of what makes people healthy. About 20% of that is genetic factors, our biology. Another 20% is the environment, clean air, clean water, food that's safe, etc. When I'm a native of Radford, Virginia. My family has deep roots in the New River Valley, and when my wife and I bought a home in Jonesboro, we found a major issue with radon, and we had to have not one but 2 radon mitigation systems installed in our house. And I learned in the process of that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer, next to smoking. Who would have known it? And so environment makes a difference in our health. But 50% of what contributes to health are all of those social determinants that I mentioned before. And so that's what we're working on in an accountable care community to really drive long-term health improvement, addressing those social determinants across sectors in a collaborative way and in a geographic area where there's concentration of community and organizations willing to work towards a common agenda. So these are some of the organizations and sectors that are part of our work, and we're always looking to add more. We're averaging about a new partner every week. And so we encourage you to think about joining our work. So here's a graphic. It's hard for you to see this, especially from the back, but it just is a more detailed look at all of those social determinants factors that contribute to health. And I'll just point out the large circles. They're economic stability, neighborhood and physical environment, education, food, community and social context, healthcare system, all of those things and pieces and parts of those things contribute to health, and that's what we're working on. So our footprint for the strong ACC is the 21 counties in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, including the independent cities of Bristol and Norton. I always mention that because being a native Virginian, I know that we have independent cities, and I was from one of those, Radford. So I always mention Bristol and Norton. But that's the area that we work in, and we talk about thinking regionally, coming together to plan regionally, but then going back home and acting locally just to bring that common agenda into fruition. So there's our leadership council. Again, you can see Dan Minahan on there. Some other names I'm sure you recognize, Dr. Henry and Dr. Westover and others. We have 12 Virginians and 12 Tennesseans on the leadership council, and that's on purpose because we are truly a bi-state coalition, and we look for representation equal from both states. We actually have 4 vacancies right now that we're looking to fill on our leadership council. So we operate according to the collective impact model, which has been shown to be an effective planning and implementation model for communities that want to tackle tough issues and problems. And there's 5 pillars to that model: having a backbone staff, having continuous engagement with organizations, helping organizations to align their activity with a common agenda, shared measurement, data, accountability, and then that common agenda, which is what unites all of us together to the world. Again, we're very fortunate we've had good backbone support from Ballot Health and the United Way, both of which have really made a difference in our region individually, but through the work of the Strong ACC, they have been instrumental. Now, I will say to you, I'm the director of the Strong ACC. I don't report to Ballot, I don't report to the United Way, I report to our leadership council, neither of which has Ballot or United Way representation. They're obviously at the meetings, but we're governed by this 24-member leadership council, and I'm accountable to them. And our backbone organizations are playing a support role, and they've been very good about honoring that. So our view is that if we're going to tackle some of the toughest issues in our region that prevent us from having health and well-being, things like substance abuse, generational poverty, depression, incarceration, we have the opioid epidemic, that we have to go upstream and start as early as possible, starting with prenatal care and connecting with pregnant women during their pregnancy to make sure that they're getting good prenatal care and attention, and making sure that their delivery is safe, that their baby has a healthy birth weight, not affected by drugs. There's a syndrome called Neonatal Abstinence syndrome that you may have heard about, NAS, which is rampant in our community. NAS just means a drug-affected baby. And let me tell you, talk about a rough start in life, being drug-affected at birth, that is tough. So we're trying to work with women, make sure that if they're on drugs, get off of drugs, get healthy, have that baby, healthy birth weight, and then in those first 3 years of life, when 90% of the brain is formed, can you believe that? 90% of our brain is basically in place in the first 3 years. And in order to have that brain be functioning at optimal levels, we need to reduce episodes of toxic stress on that baby. So we need to have that baby, that infant, that toddler in a safe, stable, nurturing environment with great interaction with loving, caring adults that serve in return. I have 2 grandchildren, and I love playing peekaboo with my 1.5-year-old grandson. That's a simple example of serve and return. An adult doing something, seeing the child respond, and then sort of repeating that. And that child gets used to that interaction and feels connected and feels cared about and loved by the adults in his or her life. So those first 3 years are critical. So we know that a lot of parents, when they leave the hospital with their newborn, may not ever touch a system, a support system that can help them, support them until they go register their child for kindergarten. Only about 40% of parents have their children in some early learning environment outside the home, be it a child care program, preschool, pre-K. But there are a whole lot of parents that don't really interact with care provider in that period of time, except for a medical provider, a pediatrician or a family practice physician for those well child visits and immunizations. And that pediatric visit visits in the early years becomes an incredibly important touch point to be able to identify families that may be struggling with resources, may have struggles with parenting. That pediatrician or family practice provider, sometimes it's even a health department, public health nurse, can identify those needs and connect that young family to the resources and help that they need. And that's the kind of things that we're figuring out, because those first 3 years are critical. And if we don't get these babies off to a good start in life, we're just running uphill the rest of the way. So we hope that those first 3 years are good. We hope that by the time the child enters kindergarten, they are school ready, are school ready. Not just cognitively able to learn, but have that social and emotional development that allows them to function in a group environment, in a structured environment, and be able to interact with adults and other children in a positive way. School readiness at kindergarten is a critical measure, because if children are school ready at kindergarten, it dramatically increases the chances they're going to be successful in the early grades and later on. Third grade reading and math, another key benchmark. A lot of research has indicated that children that are proficient in reading and math at third grade have much higher rates of not only high school graduation, but post-secondary success, earning, and lifelong earnings potential. So we know that that is a key marker. And then on into the middle and high school grades, we want students obviously to learn, to be successful academically, and to be exposed to opportunities to enter careers that would pay well. So whether they're going to go to college or not, we want young people to be introduced to the jobs of tomorrow. And a lot of this is happening in our region today, where middle school students are getting exposed. There's an event down in Kingsport this morning, a Kid Biz Expo, where they have middle school students coming with 30 businesses in Greater Kingsport, and they're having a chance to learn about what those businesses do and do all kinds of creative things with business leaders. Can you imagine middle school and business leaders coming together and helping inspire those young people for the jobs of tomorrow? Then high school, career and technical ed. We have great programs happening in the region around career and technical education, let me tell you. And that's really such an engine for our workforce development. Obviously, the community college is doing terrific work as well on pipeline development tied to the needs of the employer community. We just need to keep at that work so that students at graduation are college or career ready to enter the workforce. So a couple of things, you know, this may, like, you know, I don't know. It's easy to criticize work like this because we're engaged in long-term efforts to improve conditions, and people sometimes glaze over when they hear about regional planning and development efforts. So one of the things I knew coming in as the director a year ago, and I you know, keep in mind we started this in 2018, but I knew that in 2021, even in the middle of the pandemic, we had to produce some early successes to keep people motivated and inspired and active and involved. So one of the things that we have developed is the first ever regional data dashboard for Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. It's housed on our website at the strongacc.org, strongacc.org. And it's wonderful to be able to look at maps showing county by county variations and rates on a wide variety of metrics and indicators. Right now it's very health related. In time we're going to add education metrics and indicators, economic workforce development metrics and indicators. So it will expand over time. We're working on that every day to build out those additional data sets. This is a map of adult obesity. The counties that are shaded darker have higher rates of adult obesity. So you can see Wise is sort of in the middle of the pack there. Has some neighbors that have a little higher rates of adult obesity. You also see some lighter shaded counties where there's less of adult obesity. This is one showing high school graduation rates. That's it. And darker shaded means better graduation rates. So Wise is at the top of the pack in terms of graduation rates, but some counties have much lower rates. And so this helps us to look at the region as a whole. And the thing that's nice here is you can look at comparisons to your respective state, whether it's Virginia or Tennessee, but then comparisons county by county. So we can look at what are the counties that have high school graduation rates doing that may be helpful to those that aren't. What are some strategies that they're using to help with graduation rates, as an example? So we're really proud of this data dashboard. It's a great tool for program planners, grant writers, others who are developing initiatives to support the region and trying to get resources to come in. Another thing that we are very proud of is something called the No Wrong Door initiative. And the vision for this is that no person, whether it's an employee, a client, a patient, a student, would ever enter a wrong door if they were in need of some basic assistance for themselves or their families, that somebody inside that door could help them. Well, the only way to rationally think about how to meet that need is to equip the person on the inside of that door with a technology platform that can connect them to those basic supports and services. And so that's the vision that we have, is that we will be a region where there is no wrong door for people in need. So technology. So how are we doing this? We looked at a lot of different companies and products in the marketplace. And what we're talking about here is social determinants of health technology, basically. That healthcare and social service providers can use to make referrals and connect clients and patients to the care and services they need. So this company called Unite Us. How many of you have heard of Unite Us, by the way? So the Commonwealth of Virginia actually used CARES Act money to pay for any organization in Virginia that wants to use Unite Us. And I know that the new administration is looking at continuing that investment. But Unite Us is a company that was started in 2013 by a couple of veterans who came out of the service and saw a couple of their buddies really struggling and went to try and locate services to help them. And they found this incredibly fragmented social care delivery system, whether it was mental health or food or transportation or housing. And they said, you know, we can fix some of this issue by bringing all of these social service providers and services into a platform so that it's easier for people to make referrals when they need to. And so they did. And so it was a wild success for veterans and military families. And so the two founders said, you know what? There's a whole lot of other people besides veterans that need help. Let's make this available for anybody that needs help. And so they did. And so they've gotten venture capital funds, and entire states like Virginia, like North Carolina, have invested funds to make Unite Us's platform available to organizations that want to help people. And this is a B2B solution. So this isn't client facing. It's organization to organization. Being able to make referrals, track referrals, and more importantly, track the outcome of referrals. So it actually allows those providers that are trying to help people to look at how clients are actually making progress towards achieving their goals for improving their situation, for reaching self-sufficiency. We're involved right now in an initiative on the Tennessee side to pull down state dollars from TANF. TANF is Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. It's what we call welfare now. But Tennessee had for about 10 years been not spending their full federal allocation of TANF money. So they had accrued $750 million in TANF money. It's just sitting there. Meanwhile, all these people are struggling. So the legislature said, this is ridiculous. So they passed legislation last year called the Tennessee Opportunity Act, which made provisions to put a big portion of that in the rainy day fund, but more than half of it to put into new initiatives that would help low-income people today. And so one of those pieces is a grant initiative that they've made available to create new ways for people in poverty to get help and to reduce their reliance on government assistance. Okay? I mean, we've had poverty forever, right? No one has figured out a magic bullet here, but there are some strategies that we know work and if scaled could work for even more. So we're working on this on the Tennessee side, and we're trying to figure out what are the key ingredients that would comprise an initiative to really help these low-income people increase their capacity and reduce their dependency on government assistance. So I was meeting with the new executive director of People Incorporated, which has been a tremendous community action agency here in Southwest Virginia. They're also serving other parts of Virginia now. Brian Phipps is their new executive director. Was meeting with him and his vice president of planning and evaluation, Kelly Smith. And I come to learn about they're already doing something here in Virginia with TANF money from the state, working with families with a family coach who comes alongside families and really helps work with them to get whatever needs they have met, whether it's access to child care or signing up for a class to get better educated for a job, or repairing their broken down car, which is the reason they can't get to a job or to get their children to school. Whatever it is, this family partner works intensively with the family to help them get ahead. And we learned so much in that conversation that is directly applicable to this initiative on the Tennessee side. So one of the things that sort of reinforced for me is, one of the real benefits of having a regional coalition like this is we are able to learn from each other and then take that information and share it with others who are trying to do similar things. It also tells me that we have everything that we need in this region to be successful. Yes, we would love more money from our state and federal partners, but we have the know-how, the expertise, the knowledge, and the experience to do everything that we need to have done in this region. And that's our greatest asset. So the key is creating those opportunities for the region and the providers within the region to get connected, to learn from each other, to develop a common agenda, to have data that we can use to chart our progress and performance in getting better in some areas, and really stay after it as a collaborative and collective approach. So Unite Us is something we're real proud of. We have about 100 organizations in the platform now. We're looking to expand that. If your organization is in some way helping people who have basic needs from time to time, food, housing, shelter, child care, transportation. We'd love to introduce it to Unite Us, and it can be a great tool for those who are working with people in need. So again, we are working upstream as early in life as possible. Starting early matters. Last year, one of the things we did, we hosted a free community screening of this film, Starting at Zero, which is an award-winning documentary film. And I would encourage you to see it, because it's one of the most compelling presentations of why we as a society need to invest in early childhood development. And it has a host of leaders across the country, Republican and Democrat, governors, who have launched programs to help children at these early stages. One of the things that it shares the story of is that Alabama has the #1 rated preschool program in the country. Any of you here from Alabama or have relatives in Alabama that you care to admit? I lived in Alabama for a year and a half, so I can say this. If Alabama can have the #1 pre-K program in the country, there's no reason why we can't also aspire to that level of excellence. And they've had this now for 12 years. So across multiple governor administrations, they continue to invest in quality pre-K, and pre-K is also a key factor in that school readiness that we talked about earlier. So universal pre-K, not mandatory pre-K. We don't want mandatory pre-K. Does anybody know why that would be a bad idea? Mandating that 4-year-olds go to pre-K?
Will hurt daycares.
What's that?
It will hurt daycares, for one thing.
You are exactly right. That is one of the issues that child care providers are very worried about, because their business model depends on having 4-year-olds, a lot of them paying fees to then subsidize the cost for infant toddler care. That's a big concern. Does anybody else have another response? The reason we don't want to see pre-K mandated is, think about it, 4-year-olds. Some 4-year-olds are just flat out not ready for a school environment. Now, they're talking about a lot of different ways you could deliver pre-K, not just in a school setting, but it could be in a community center, it could be in a church, it could be in a lot of different, they call that mixed delivery pre-K. But some 4-year-olds are just they're not ready for that yet. And so it'd be a mistake from a policy perspective to mandate pre-K. Do we want universal access? Yes. Give all parents the opportunity to enroll their 4-year-old in a pre-K, but don't mandate it. That would be a mistake. The other reality of pre-K is, and this is on the Tennessee side, there's a lot of school divisions, they have voluntary pre-K over there, but a lot of parents that want to bring their children to pre-K, they can't get them there because there's no transportation. They have to drive their children to the pre-K. And you know, if you've got to drive your child to 25 miles to the nearest pre-K classroom, and you got to get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by the way, the pre-K school day ends at 2, so you got to figure out how to get the child after it's over. A lot of barriers. So we need to figure out how to make pre-K truly accessible for parents so that we can deliver that benefit to children. Right now is a very exciting time for early childhood development in our region. You may have heard about the Ready Regions, Ready Southwest Virginia initiative that the United Way is working on that is attempting to dramatically expand capacity of child care centers and programs in Southwest Virginia, and at the same time work on quality child care. We don't want capacity without quality. We want both. Parents are looking for more than just a place to babysit their children. They want their children to learn and have that quality experience. So we want quality childcare, meaning childcare that's led by trained childcare professionals who understand early childhood development and can maximize the learning for those young children. They're working on the $14 million budget amendment right now in the General Assembly to fund this work. I think they have a good shot at it. There's a lot of money available. It's a good time to be asking for money. And they have a great plan. On the Tennessee side, we're leading an initiative called Bright Start, which is also an early care, early education planning process that is focused on creating a robust continuum of care and education for children birth to 8. So between these two initiatives, we're going to have some really powerful ideas and strategies in place for early childhood care and development that I think are going to serve us well for the future. You probably heard Ballard's announcement last week. There are plans to invest multiple millions of dollars in starting 11 new child care centers, primarily to serve their team members, but also in some cases, community members. And of course, we have Ballard facilities here in Wise that for whom that new child care capacity will be a big difference. And they too are very interested in quality as well. I know we're getting close, probably close to the time. I'll share just a couple more slides. One of the things that we're working on is creating what we call a resilient region. And resilient really means a region where all the major sectors and service providers are trained in using trauma-informed practices in their organizations. We know that one of the root causes of poverty, substance use, and other adverse life situations is trauma, and especially trauma in the early years, adverse childhood experiences. And so we have got to be able to understand and recognize trauma-informed individuals, and then be able to interact with them in a way that's positive and constructive when they may be acting out and showing behavior that's sort of a result of their trauma. So this has an impact on schools big time, but there are businesses that are adopting this approach. HR managers and directors are learning about trauma and how people are affected by that, and learning that there may be different ways than the traditional punitive disciplinary actions that businesses are traditionally taking with employees when they may be struggling, maybe having personal challenges that are a result of trauma. So we're working to help all major sectors understand about trauma, the characteristics of that, as well as what we call restorative practices, those constructive behaviors and practices and policies that would help us better deal with people who are dealing with trauma that they've had in their lives. And it's affecting their school performance, their job performance, whatever it is. So we're looking to build a resilient region where all the major sectors have this understanding and have that capacity, and hopefully that too will be a part of our prevention strategy to prevent some of the trauma from happening that is such a big contributor now to adverse outcomes. Finally, we too are updating our strategic plan. We've been in this now for 4 years. The world has changed around us, not just the pandemic, but we're in a time of inflation, where we have workers, essential workers, healthcare workers, first responders who are incredibly stressed, high burnout rates, Some people have suggested we have a tsunami of mental health problems coming at us, coming out of this pandemic that we don't have a clue about how we're going to deal with. Because think about it, mental health professionals have already been stepping up to meet a lot of need. You talk about more need coming afterwards, and many of those mental health professionals burning out themselves. We've got a real challenge on our hands. So we're updating our strategic plan by the third quarter of this year. So one of the things that we'll be doing is working with our partners, engaging our partners and stakeholders to speak into that plan and produce a new strategic plan that we hope will be better reflective of the needs and circumstances that we're involved with. We'd love to have you get involved. If your business or your organization is not a member, I'd love to talk to you and give you some more information. It's free to join. There's no cost, no dues, and there's lots of exciting ways that you can be plugged into the work. So thank you for having me today, and I'm happy to answer a question or two if there is.
Anybody got any questions? Do realize that the key to a good workforce is a healthy workforce. So I mean, if we train, if we work on our workforce early, I think it'll only benefit our region. So, but they're doing a lot of great work, and there's more. I mean, they've got tons and tons of data, public health data, on their website. So I encourage you to visit your website, and yeah, Mark will be around if anybody's got any other questions or if you want to get involved. So I think right now we're going to go over and grab something to eat. We'll come back and sit down. I'll go over a couple, 2 or 3 more things, and then we'll get to the action part. And and I'm guilty of it. You get into the groove, and this pandemic has put us in a groove of not going to meetings and going and doing Zooms and not being and being with people. And so that's the one thing I think, not only with the chamber, but a lot of the civic organizations, especially. I'm a member of the Kiwanis and Norton, and it's very difficult. And it's been extremely difficult to get those things going back and getting people to come back because they're not in that groove. So hopefully this year more and more of that can go on. We're going to try to, I know Dan had recommended last fall during our annual meeting that we try to get an intern this summer, so we're going to try to work on that and try to either through the United Way or through the school system. I know the tech school's working a lot up there with trying to do some internships and apprenticeships. So be sure and we'll work with that. And one of the things that I'll give a plug for my wife. She is actually the tech school. I don't know if they put it out yet that much. The tech school is actually going to have a class coming in the fall on entrepreneurship, and they're going to try to kick that up. And actually, Tina is going to be teaching that. So she's taking training right now to teach that class in the fall. So I told her, and I made a commitment. I told her, I said, I've got all kinds of people to come talk in your class. So hey, guess what? I'm going to be hitting some of you to talk in her class. And and that's very important, especially from a tech school standpoint, because there's lots of kids who are going through those programs out there and have the opportunity to start their own business if they just know how. And have that boost of confidence to do it. I'm going to let a couple, 2 or 3 people. Scott, you want to give an update on what you all are doing with the Clinch River State Park? And then we'll kind of open it up for a few minutes. If anybody else wants to talk about, I know, maybe get Dan or Don to give a little bit of an update on the Starlink. And a couple other things before that. Health Wagon's doing a health fair, so we'll send that out. I think we've already sent it out once in March, the 1st of March, at the Zion Church. And I'll send this out too. There is a outreach meeting for Opportunity Appalachia coming up next week, so we'll send that out. And that's another thing to get involved with. But I was contacted by Stephen Goad. He is actually his family is originally from this area. He's working with Old Dominion University and through a grant to help pay for businesses, both small and large, and help businesses pay for their business license, any kind of certifications that your employees may have to have, and this is either through reimbursement or help them. He's having trouble giving this money away. So I'm gonna send this out to all of our businesses at the county. It's up to $1,700, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but for a small business, that is a lot. But they can help reimburse any kind of training expenses that you may have for any. And one of the things that he mentioned, especially if you know any food service people or any food truck people, all of those people right now have to have the food handling classes. He said they can actually help reimburse people for that. So be sure and contact me if you know of any business that might be interested in that.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Scott Bowen. I serve as the park manager for Clinch River State Park. And for the previous 17 months up till January, I had co-managed the Southwest Virginia Museum Historical State Park and Clinch River State Park. Wise County can claim something unique now. You're one of the very few counties in Virginia that have 2 state parks in your county, joining Grayson, Pulaski, and Prince Edward counties. So we've been really busy with property acquisition here the last several months. We have 10 properties that are in process. 9 of those are in Russell County. The park size is right at 697 acres right now. So we have 2 main anchor points. We've got the Sugar Hill unit in St. Paul, and then we have the Archer Benton unit about 4 miles east of the town of Cleveland, up near Lebanon. So we have 1 boat launch that is now open to the public at Archer, and we've got 2 more that'll be coming online hopefully this year that are being transferred over from the Nature Conservancy. That is Carbo and Old Castlewood in Russell County. Starting in May of 2021, we began working on our master plan for the park. We held some public stakeholder meetings in September and November, and then we had our public input meeting in December of 2021. After that meeting, a survey was released to the general public, and we're working with a private firm out of Charlottesville to establish our master plan. And they're putting all that information from the surveys together right now. So there'll be another stakeholder meeting we're hoping next month, and that'll be the final kind of public meeting before the master plan is finalized and presented to the Board of Conservation and Recreation for endorsement. Once that plan is endorsed, then we can go to the General Assembly and start asking for developmental funds for the state park. Delegate Kilgore recently introduced a budget amendment to give $2 million for the initial infrastructure for Clinch River, so we'll just have to wait and see if that makes it through the final cut of the budget. But real exciting times. There's 2 full-time staff members at Clinch River right now, of course myself, and then there's a chief ranger of operations. We started doing public interpretive education programs last year as well. So we do have a person that's doing those programs. We're getting ready to hire a wage maintenance person and a wage part-time administrative person over the next couple of months. So the park staff is growing. We're currently renting office space from the Oxbow Center, UVA-wise Oxbow Center. We're getting ready to rent a second office there as well. So we're moving right along, and hopefully we'll begin development next year. Like I tell everybody, this will be kind of a long process. You know, it'll be 10, 12, 15 years before everything's completely finalized. I'm excited to see the final version of the master plan to kind of know where all of our facilities, roads, and all that kind of stuff will go as well. But if anyone needs anything as far as like education programs, field trips, anything like that, please reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you out. I do want to give a plug for the Southwest Virginia Museum. Gretchen Coates, the new park manager there, she worked at Natural Tunnel for about 12 years. She had some meetings this morning and couldn't be here. But the Gathering in the Gap is back on for this year. It'll be May 28th, and the headlining act is Crystal Gale. She was a big time country music act in the 1980s. So come on out and support that event. The staff's working really hard to make that a really great event this year. There'll be arts and crafts, food vendors there for the whole day. Probably be a beer and wine tasting associated with that this year as well. That'll be something new. Tickets are $15. If you buy them online, you can go to gatheringthegap.org.
or at the gate, they'll be $20. So just wanted to give that plug for her since she couldn't be here. Does anybody have any questions for me? All right, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Can we videotape?
I'm Donald Purdy. I'm with the Appalachian Council for Innovation, formerly known as the Southwest Virginia Technology Council. And one of the initiatives we've had for the last 12 months just about was the Starlink initiative. The idea was to get low Earth orbit broadband satellite down to school kids that had no internet or had very little report internet. And you've probably heard the stories where during the pandemic when everybody went remote learning, they had to take the kids to the fire hall and sit outside the fire station and try to steal that internet or go to a McDonald's or whatever just to try to survive and get through the school year. So that prompted our local clerk of court, Jack Kennedy, who has been involved with the space initiatives and NASA development, that sort of thing for years and years and years, to work with Starlink, which he developed a relationship with, and convinced them to start a beta project in Coburn. He chose Coburn because that's where he grew up. Go figure. So 45 accounts were set up last January, a year ago. And they proved to be such a success that he convinced them to even do another test and concentrate some more in the VC region. And as a result of that, we have 360 families that will have low Earth orbit broadband. As soon as we get about another 40 families signed up, we'll have 360 altogether. Of that, in Wise County, you had 120 families touched and given broadband, which equates to about about 190 students that did not have broadband now have it, just in Wise County alone. Wise County also, because there's a lot of students that live outside of Wise County, but go to Wise County schools, they also got some broadband as well, which up the count to about another 90 students. That's huge. I mean, there's a lot of kids right there that did not have it, that now have it. And will have it, for as long as they, as long as it's there. And I don't see any reason why it's going away. Because it is the wave of the future because, fiber is great and all that, but, low Earth orbit satellite is, and let me explain what the difference between low Earth orbit and geosynchronous satellites is. It's about 22,000 miles difference. The geosynchronous satellites are 22,500 miles up. That's your dish, your HughesNets, that sort of thing. It's great for one-way traffic. If you ever try to do a round trip, it takes a few seconds. Whereas low Earth orbit's about 250, 300 miles above the Earth, and the millisecond rating there is about the same as it is in your house. It's about 25 to 30 milliseconds to get a response. So it's a big difference. It works on Zoom calls and all that. Right now, the download speeds are always above 100, and a lot of times approach 200 megabytes download speed and 25 up, which is, again, huge. That's gaming speed. So it's there for virtually anything you want to try to do with it. So, but it's a big help. It's a huge help for the students, and it's great for our area. Think about how many students have been touched just locally right here. I think that's just a big deal, and kudos to Wise County, Mike Hatfield and the board of supervisors for going on the extra mile on this, because without their participation, it wouldn't have happened in Wise County, and I thank you for that, Mike. And that's all I've got. Any questions?